If I heard that if I heard that if I heard that if I heard that way I live life.
Welcome to the biggest tournament in StarCraft 2. We have 18 of the very best StarCraft 2 players ready to duke it out for their share.
I'm looking forward most to crushing Klemsky, just because he did take me down last time, and then he also took my key last time, so I think that's already enough reason.
Trying to take a trade here. He knows that he's going to get further and further ahead if he does. And that's going to be it. GG.
I would say I'm in very good form. I've changed up method of preparation this year a little bit. Let's see if it works out.
Damage being done already. Another storm, man. Every single queen and the lings getting hit by that storm. These
10년 동안 프로토스 우승 데가 없었는데 10년 만에 프로토스의 우승자 제가 되겠습니다.
Be just a little bit too late and boom, blink forward, wipes up the army. GG.
10년 만에 프로토스 우승의 주인공은 저입니다.
Best of luck to you.
빠르게 떨어지진 않겠습니다. 지옥에서 살아 돌아온 만큼 꼭 이번엔 우승까지 해보도록 하겠습니다.
전부 부수겠습니다.
I'll try to repeat last year's performance and do it all again.
What a day number one it was, and we are back here at day number 2 for the Esports World Cup, ready to move into more StarCraft action. My name is Fear Dragon, and of course I am going to be joined by two lovely individuals over here on the other side. We have both Demu and also Steadfast. How are you doing today, dude?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. You know, got a good couple of series on hand. We've got lots of good games over on the A stream as well. And you know, yesterday we had a lot of high seeds against low seeds, a lot of clobbers knocking, and absolutely mixed that one up. But yeah, I hope the games are a bit closer today.
Yeah. How did you feel about day number 1, Dave?
I think day number 1 was, all of us were expecting at least 1 or 2 upsets. I think the big upset was that there was no upsets. Every favorite basically won their series, and that's kind of been different than what we're used to at these World Cups. Is usually somebody comes in with something crazy, especially in a best of 3. I think maybe you could argue Solar versus Zaun was an upset. That's probably the closest we had. But even then, if you looked at the games and you've looked at Solar historically and everything, you would say, no, that was not an upset. That was just Solar coming in and delivering. But it was just really interesting to see all the favorites win.
No, absolutely, and especially with the games that we ended up covering yesterday on this particular stream, we did see 4 different best of 3s that played out, and like you said, it was 2 zeros, but they were all actually just, you know, a little bit more one-sided with the favorites actually winning. But Ben, there were some still pretty good games yesterday.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the play-in stage absolutely delivered in my eyes, because you start off with Lambo taking a win. against Hero Marine, which a lot of people did not expect. Estrella was a big hope for a lot of people. He actually didn't go down without a fight, though, taking a map in each one of his series. But at the end of the day, Bjorn came out the favorite, and he came out in first place, rightly so, did very well. But it wasn't easy for him. It was like 2-1, 2-1 victories across the board.
No, it absolutely was a hard-fought victory. And we saw some very fun games, as we can see, that Dave Clem ended up playing Protoss, which I think is something that a lot of people were looking forward to as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who have been following very closely know that, you know, in the weeklies, in a lot of the smaller tournaments, he's experienced a great deal of success with the Protoss. But, you know, at Home Story Cup, for example, versus Gumiho, he was not able to win. He hasn't been able to necessarily do it in a big offline event. Here, though, not only did he win that series, he dominated it. And it was very telling to see him have that big spike in an actual offline event. But sorry, you were about to say.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, I was speaking with Zombie Grub earlier, and talking about Clem, people have been repeating him as the best PvT in the world.
Yes.
Which is kind of a funny thing to say, because I was like, but has he truly been tested yet? Because he's arguably the best TVP in the world as well.
Yeah.
So if he is the best PvT, but he doesn't actually get to play against the best TVPer, it's kind of a hard one to really say, but I still feel that Classic might have the edge on that one.
Classic definitely has been also showing some really great games, and we have actually seen him do pretty well yesterday, and I think there are definitely a lot of eyes on him. But I will say, for our matches today, we're not going to be on this stream focusing on that upper bracket where the players have been doing all, you know, rainbows and sunshines and candy. It's actually, we're going to the lower bracket where some of the players have already lost that first match. Both in our first match that we're actually going to be covering, I believe that we have Trigger versus Shin, both players who lost versus, I believe, Maru and Rainer, respectively.
Yes.
So that's going to be one of the matches. But I know also the other match that's going to be happening is Cyan and Showtime. There's some interesting potential there. I think that might be what a lot of people expect to be like a more one-sided match. But Dave, I think you had an interesting opinion on this one.
Yeah, so we're going to have to throw it over to a Dr. Suleiman Al-Habib hot take, because I going into the series versus Hero yesterday, I think both Ben and I were in agreement, Demo and I were in agreement that it was pretty one-sided. It was probably going to be a real uphill battle for Cyan to get anything done. But he looked quite good, even in defeat, even going down 0-2. So I am going to take the very bold position of saying Cyan is going to beat Showtime. Not going to give you a score. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to throw it out there, put it into the universe. That's my hot take.
He was talking about this in the makeup room, like talking with the makeup ladies, and I'm like, man, that guy doesn't know what he's on about, kind of thing. But no, I think Cyan definitely does have a shot. And I mean, right now, one thing about today, it's do or die for these guys that we're going to be casting. And pressure is going to be higher than ever, because every win that you get, it's like plus $5,000 at this point, something ridiculous. You get the chance to go on. And I mean, for Showtime especially, his series, saw Gabe jump a little bit. I've never seen him jump in my life. But no, Showtime definitely wants to make it further in this tournament.
He broke it.
Absolute crush.
Wow.
Look at Gabe,
crushed.
Just smiling away. He's like,
uncaring.
That's his key. Yeah.
I broke it like I broke his spirit.
Well, Ben, I'm going to actually piggyback off of what you were saying then, though, and ask you, do you agree then with Dave's take that, like, okay, Cyan, maybe hot take that he's going to end up winning or something there? Do you think that is, in fact, the, like, a match of the day, you would say? Or are you more looking forward to the other match that we have? Because we have two options between our match of the day.
So I'm going to say I do prefer the idea of Trigger versus Shin, just because Trigger has shown that he can duel with the best Zergs in the world, such as that recent series with Solar.
Yeah.
Narrowly lost 2-3. Could have won. Showtime, on the other hand, Cyan, I wouldn't be surprised if Cyan takes a map, because his builds were very good, and they were the kind of builds that can catch you off guard. But I still feel that Showtime he's the wall, you know? Like, going up with your cheeky stuff against somebody like that, it's going to be hard. But Trigger, I just hope that he can reel it in a little bit, because yesterday he got blown out the water. Like, it wasn't just about being outplayed, it was about being outsmarted. Like, you could really feel that Maru's prep was just tailored for throwing you off your game, and I just hope that you can keep up with Shin on a fundamental level.
And that's going to be really interesting to see, Dave, because Shin isn't exactly a reserved player either, right?
No, he is one of the most tricky Zergs in the entire business. We've talked a lot about ZVP and TVP and, you know, energy overcharge, storm, all that jazz. What that has ultimately meant is that a lot of Zerg players, already this was a thing, a lot of Zerg players didn't like going to the late game in ZVP. Now, they even more so really don't want to get there. They don't want to have to deal with the unabductable mothership. They don't want to have to deal with the Tempest. You can absolutely play it out as we've seen players like Serral, Raynor do, but Shin has never been that guy anyways. He has always been a very tricky mid-game Zerg. A lot of Hydraling Bane, lot of Roach Ravager, Queen walks and drops, and he loves his Muta switches. And he is still very willing to go for a heavy mid-game play and then go into like a lurker timing behind it. All that is to say that he is an incredibly dangerous and slippery opponent in a ZVP matchup against a player that maybe isn't as experienced at dealing with all of that very harsh trickery. But then to make it a best of 5 where you have so many options to do that, that is going to be really difficult and a huge test for Trigger.
It most certainly is, and I think it's worth mentioning that these players have played against each other a bunch of times recently, and especially even in 2025, I think their last 4 matches, it's been back and forth 1-for-1. But Ben, do you agree that you think like Shin is just going to have an edge coming into this match, or do you think it's going to be a kind of more even match or even Trigger leaning? What's your thoughts?
It really depends on which Trigger turns up today, because if it's the same one as yesterday, like a ball of nerves, nothing goes to plan, it's not going to go well for him. Because Shin, when I look at him and when I see his play, he's pretty darn consistent, I gotta say. I can't remember a time that I'm just like, wow, Shin, you sucked. Like, he's very good at doing what he does. Like Dave talked about, he gets the ball rolling and it never stops. It's very like Solar-esque in ZVP right now, that it's just a lot of stuff all the time. And you are gonna have to absolutely dot your I's, cross your T's every step of the way if you're Trigger. And one mistake, I could really start the domino effect rolling in these games. So I think Shin is the pretty overwhelming favorite here.
I think that's a fair take, and it sounds like both of you guys are in agreement on that. It looks like the maps are also going to be picked, which I'm sure Dave is also going to have a pretty significant impact with a player like Shin or something, or a player like Trigger, who the maps can have a huge impact on the strategies they pick.
Yeah, and once again, it goes back to that difference between a best of 3 and a best of 5. Best of 3, you're probably going to see Ley Lines a lot, Ultra Love, Tokamak, very standard maps, not a lot crazy about them. But we see, as we're getting into game number 1, it is already a bit of a wild map pick, as we have spawning down in the bottom right for Weibo Gaming. It is Shin.
And spawning over in the northeastern side, representing Basilisk Gaming, it is Trigger. You can see that he's looking quite focused, but still, it resonates a little bit that he is a little bit of a nervy boy over there.
Yes, it certainly does. Oh, this is cool. Okay, as soon as Torches was picked, I was wondering if we were going to see something a little bit weird, maybe using those minerals. Shin mining out the minerals towards the gold, taking it on his opponent's side. This has a lot of potential here. He, of course, can mine from that gold base. It's going to power up any early game builds. And then if he builds transfers drones over there, they're going to have a very short trip to mining out the back. This is already something that is going to put Trigger to the test in a big way. Trigger does, of course, see this very early on, but there is going to be a 1, identification of what's going on, and 2, what do you do about it?
That's the big thing, because I love it when the more experienced players go up against the less ones and they throw them off straight away. It's wonderful to see, because right now, Trigger, I know him as a guy, he loves to do what he does. And right now...
Oh! That was such a cool idea. I saw it. Oh, man. That would have been so sick if he got that block.
It would have. You can see Trigger just in the body language there. He was kind of like, oh, damn, that didn't work out for me at all, did it? And right now, you've even got one drone moving a little bit more further forward. And I like the fact that he's going for that as well, trying to open up the hole earlier. So not super greedy, but just making your options available early on. This is cool because obviously a range unit later on could stop the drones from gathering all entirely. And this is going to be a very boosted Zerg economy early on.
It is, and this is a little bit awkward right now for Trigger because you have to respect it, but he's not really doing anything. He hasn't put a pylon in vision there. He doesn't have a probe watching that position. Of course, Shin has vision that there's nothing at those minerals. It could be more than just a single pathway that's open. We could see a 2 or 3 gap wall opened up and maybe a Roach Ravager play, Roach Queen. There's a lot of options right now. And I really like what you pointed out. The earlier you get those minerals open, the more of a problem it's going to be. But we do have the first Adept shading forward. The gold base is very far flung. This could be tricky to deal with.
Actually, did he even get to open up the whole wall on the minimap? It's a little bit tricky to see there, but let's see. Okay, so it's not fully open yet, just one little gap done. And I mean, that can affect your opponent's pathing, how they move their units and being like, oh yeah, it's not mined out yet, right? But Trigger has no vision over there. These 2 Adepts in a nice spot here to stop any kind of drones moving through. Good scouting as well.
This is going to be potentially very dangerous for Shin. We do see a nice little trap on the first Adept. Oh, big surround. That did not look like a surround at all. Huge little find right there. 2 drones do go down, but that is, honestly, considering the threat of a potential Ling run by, that is a big loss for Trigger. He does have a worker lead right now, but we got to remember there's a gold base. Oh, the Spore is not in time at the gold base, though.
This is all going very well for Trigger, actually. Like, 2 Adepts for 2 drones may not sound the best, but the lack of mining time as well, the Oracle follow-up, and now you've got a 38 probe to 25 drone. Shin is committed to going all in at this point. Like,
yeah.
And that's what we see exactly. And he's going to have multiple avenues to get in here. That drone is getting through. And what will Trigger have available to deal with this?
Well, the big problem right now is that there's a creep highway towards this. There's nothing in the main base. Trigger did not respond to this at all. This is why I didn't like the loss of those 2 Adepts. There is just nothing to defend right now on the main base. This is disastrous for Trigger. And this was such a cool prep build from Shin. Oh, we do see the energy recharge. Is that going to be enough to kill one of these queens? Yes. Oh, and he saves the Oracle. Is there more queens behind this? If it's only 2, okay, there's the 3rd queen showing up.
That last Oracle there. No shield battery here either, so once those Oracles are out of energy, these units are going to start flopping about, and no mining in the main. There's just more Lings coming, and even an aggressive Spore Crawler coming down.
Spore.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, the queen count's low right now. The drone count's still very low, but the amount of damage being done here is huge.
It is very big, but this, I did not think there was any way that this could be defended. One of the Oracles is out of energy. Shin should absolutely be targeting down the Nexus. If he gets this, this is still incredibly successful for him, and he can start droning out of it. He's continuing to build Lings at the moment. He is continuing to commit. I do want to say, if Shin had waited for all 3 queens, this game is over. 100%. There's no way Trigger defends without a shield battery. But with the 3rd queen lagging behind a little bit, being off creep, no transfuses available, things got a little awkward. Ooh. We do see energy recharge used. One of the queens goes down, but there is still that Spore. This is not over just yet. Oh, and the wraparound on the Adepts right there. That's going to kill both of them. Oh, no, never mind. Shield battery does get the save.
I tell you what, this has been actually a really decent attempt to Trigger, like getting that 3rd base up and running. All of a sudden, his economy, he's back to mining full potential here. This Adept count's getting higher as well. And that energy recharge used on an Oracle just to make sure he has more to deal with these Lings. I think Trigger's going to do this.
I want to know how many queens Shin has right now, because that is really what has kept Trigger in this game, is the fact that the queen count kept getting whittled down, and Shin has not been able to get enough anti-air here. He does move the Spore forward, but these Spores are going to get, or the Oracles are going to get a lot of damage. They target down the Spore itself. 2nd Spore showing up. Trigger, does he have energy recharge? No, there goes the first Oracle. Of course, he cannot build anymore. That Stargate has been depowered in the main base. No more energy. He's using the energy on the energy recharge again. I think it might have been better to use it on the shield battery there. It is going to be a stasis trap. This still looks like Shin could do it just here and now.
Using it on that Oracle over there really didn't get anything done. All it could do was put down a stasis trap, which gets 1 Ling. I mean, it is doing a good job of blocking on that right side, but the Adept count too low, and there's like maybe 1 or 2 Adepts in the back there. Queen arrives from the left side all the way across the map, and the Zerg is here, the Swarm is here, and Trigger, with a heart rate still at only 99, he's looking for a little bit of an exit out of this game, and Shin, I tell you what, that was a nice prep strat from him.
Very cool prep strat. That queen took the longest route of all time, and it can't even get in is the funny part. But we do still see Shin. Actually, no, Shin is going to stop on this. he's going to start droning out of this. If Trigger holds the Nexus, holds all this production, this is the final stand for Trigger, but he is actually going to make this stand happen. Queen going to go down now. I mean, the worker count is terrible for Trigger, but I really thought he was going to be dead at this point.
He's doing a good job trying to hold. It's just, now that Shin sees this base fully mining, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? By the way, going for the Adept Glaives, I like the choice, but that means that he needs to win this game on a counter push very urgently. And I mean, he does have a good little group of units available. There's a lot of creep to walk on by, but that Roach Warren will definitely signal trouble. Can't fight there with the Lings, or can he?
There was a... it looked like they might have had a wall there, but there was a gap, and the Lings get the wraparound. I was right there with you. That looked like a good position for Trigger, but the Adept was just a little bit too skinny, got that Weight Watchers diff, and unfortunately that is going to be a huge loss in those Adepts. And now I think that might be the last extinguishing of the little bit of hope for Trigger there. With 10, 12 Adepts between far-flung bases, maybe he can rebuild his probe count, maybe he can kill 10, 15, 20 drones at the gold, and then we can maybe reset. But now the Roach Warren is done. Shin is building Roaches. He's way up in economy and supply. And Trigger is trying to clear creep off of his natural Nexus with his main Nexus dead.
And I think the Adept Glaives has already been shown as well. So he knows what he's up against, and Shin, he just has map control at this point, and these Lings can be here, there, everywhere, threatening the economy. This could be, when you see that amount of units there and the gold base being mined out, at least the gold's being mined out. So technically, if this game does go on, which I don't think it will, it is potentially going to be like two very fresh base situation, but more Queens coming as well.
That's the backbreaker right there. I do like the force field on this little position, and this is what I was talking about earlier. I would love to see Shin at this point like mine out more patches. But regardless, he's through. He's got the Ravagers to break those force fields. He's going to be able to bile down shield batteries and even getting that stasis trappy. Trigger has the Glaive Adepts, but they are going to get surrounded. They're going to get, well, sentries get biled down. And this is just looking like it is too little too late, a day late and a dollar short.
This is brutal, man. Brutal. It's just way too much Zerg at this point, and you could really tell, GG, Shin takes the first game. That game, I was so surprised about Trigger's lack of knowing what was happening with that golden wall. I was so surprised, like not having a pylon there, not having a unit there, just being totally unaware of the potential. And like you mentioned how the hatchery is built on the aggressive side towards your opponent. To me, I scout that and I'm like, okay, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, it has to be for having a rocket jump to get to your opponent faster.
Yeah.
So the fact that Trigger just didn't at all think about that, or if he did think about it, he thought he'd be able to hold anyway, but yeah, that was a bit of a blunder in my eyes.
I think so, but on the other side, we got to give a huge, huge bit of credit to Shin for coming with an immaculately prepared build. That is the kind of build that you save for a world championship right there. That is the kind of build that once it gets scouted, I'm not going to say it's completely unviable because you still got an early gold base, but there are ways to deal with it. Even for example, just looking at Trigger pylon blocking. If he successfully pylon blocks those drones out, this game goes on down a completely different path, and it's going to be very, very uncomfortable for Shin at the best. But I do have to agree with you a little bit. That is something that I think if Trigger gets to even 5 minutes to think about that, it's a very, very different game.
It definitely is. And right now, Trigger just hasn't been able to play his game in any one of these series so far, which is unfortunate for him. But you can definitely see that he looks a little bit troubled there. Like, it's not a comfortable young man sitting there and just being like, you know what, I'm going to play some StarCraft. He looks very flustered, a bit frustrated as well. And hopefully he can just kind of, and I keep saying this, reel it in, reel it in. He is a young lad, but he's got experience now. He's been in situations before where it's 0-1 down, 0-2 down. Every new game is a clean slate for you to show what you're made of.
Yeah, but it is very difficult to keep that in mind when you're on the stage, when you know, if I'm down 1-0, this is my last chance. Like if I lose 2 more maps, I'm out. Instead of thinking, you know what? If I win 3 maps, I'm through. I play the map in front of me. I think that's the best advice you can give to someone. As we have spawning in here on Maganatha, Up in the top left for Weibo Gaming. A brilliant strategy in game number 1. Can he pull it out again? It is Shin.
And spawning over in the bottom right, representing Basilisk, it is Trigger. A nice arm sleeve there because he's using a glass mouse pad, I do believe, which limits the friction entirely. So kind of cool to see all these gamers with very, very different gear setups and such. You don't see it a lot in StarCraft just because players are so used to playing with what they have. Oh, that is a bit of trickery going on there, but Shin gets away with it.
Yes, and this is something that Dark used to do all the time. He would love doing these, Cats would love doing these proxy hatch builds. Sometimes you go for a hatch first, sometimes you fake taking the third base, you just get your own hatch. Good job from Trigger here. He is going to get on top of this. Oh, but you got to be so careful. You do need either a second probe or you need to make sure your units are on move command so that the drone, when it's attacked, does not get the distance between this. And that is a great job from Trigger. He avoids having a hatchery drop down in his natural. That would have been disastrous for him. Already down 1-0, but everything he's doing all the little things right. Make sure the drone can't even gas steal here. Excellent small little moves to make sure this doesn't turn into a very awkward and unpleasant game for Trigger.
And now the Zerg gets the revenge of doing the cheeky mineral tricks here to the opponent. And yeah, I like that Shin is going for the uncomfortable kind of openings, right? Like it's a little bit off. It's not something you see every day. But this time, Trigger did respond very well. Doesn't get the assimilator taken in the main base either. Move the probe over to block, making sure the extractor couldn't be made. Nice start for Trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to mention, of course, that Shin, because he sent that drone across the map, his hatchery was not as quick as normal, which means that your queens aren't as quick as normal. He is doing something very interesting right now, building 8 lings, banking up some larvae right there. So one tricky play into another in game 2. First one in game 2 doesn't work out, he does another one. And this is going to be I think he's going to try and sneak across the map with maybe 6 lings. That could be very problematic for Trigger if he moves out with his first 2 units, which, does he chronoed his second adept, correct? Can we take a look at that gateway real quick?
It's building pretty fast, so we'll have 2 adepts to deal with this, and these lings won't have speed for quite some time. Third hatchery does begin for Shin, so getting to see 1 adept chasing those 2 lings, being quite respectful here, having the other adept.
He shaded away. The 6 lings are going to get in. This is going to be very uncomfortable.
This is very uncomfortable. Trigger's just so all about being on the map. And sometimes you got to know when to not be on the map. And this may not look too bad right now because the Trigger did pull immediately. But still, this is quite a bit of lost mining time and not being on the other side of the map. That's not where Trigger wants to be.
And that was a miss micro right there from Trigger. He stopped moving the probe. Shin didn't think that was going to happen. Well, how many more probes go down? Does he get that one? He will get 2 probes in total. Fair bit of lost mining time. Very disruptive. Is it enough? I would say that's enough to make it even. But I think with a 1-0 lead and with the kind of mental advantage, I think it's slightly better for Shin.
You know, if it was a
just pure numbers.
If it was pure numbers, I'd be okay with the Zerg's or the Protoss position right now.
Yeah.
Like you got to remember, Shin to get all this going, but it's this kind of stuff from Shin that's very awkward. Like this is before the pylon got to be made here too for the little bit of a choke, and this is a potential cancel on this hatch. And where's the Oracle? I mean, another adept is going to show up, but he needs a bit more right now. This is not what you want.
No, it's going to be enough to keep the... Oh my god, he shaded away, but he's got the Oracle coming out, number 2. That is going to be ultimately fine, but so far Shin has been doing a great job of playing the player. You mentioned Trigger really wanting to be on the map. Shin has punished that already like 3 times in this game alone. That is so impressive, the level of prep and the little things that Shin is doing. I'm very, very impressed. Now, what I will say is Shin does get supply blocked at 58. That is a pretty painful one, but he's already in a great position, eclipsing the Protoss worker count at a very early stage. Usually we look at about late 30s to 40 is when an even game when that happens. When it's this early, though, and the Zerg starts to run away with it, things can get very awkward. But going to be a big Ling Flood and a +1 melee play behind this.
I like this. I like this. So far, it's just kind of counting on, you know, doing the defense with the Adepts, which is a nice move. Oracles try and fly in from 2 different spots here. They've all taken a little bit of hull damage. Now these Adepts, oh no.
Oh, the body block.
Yeah, that was a sick block with these Queens, and those Adepts are going to get nothing done. And when you see all those lings that are made, look at Shin. He's like, you know what? I'm super safe now. 10 drones, get a lair going, get a Baneling Nest going. +1 melee, super interesting as well. He can absolutely start causing a little bit of chaos and keep Trigger on the back foot here, because the only thing he can be out on the map on at this point is those Oracles, which they have to be back home to deal with this.
Yeah, and I like that he drones as soon as the Lings were spotted. Not only did the Lings, you know, they're gonna do a little bit of kind of forcing a reaction from Trigger with the movement of the Oracles. They also, of course, killed the Adepts, so they got a decent bit of value. Shin droning very hard behind it. He's got the layer, he's got the 4th base on the way, and I think behind this, we're gonna probably be seeing Hydraling Bane out of this. Trigger, of course, going for the blink and the +1, the storm behind it. This is a standard game, quote-unquote, in terms of the direction they're going. A lot of damage on that Oracle. Trigger's got to be so careful right now. But Shin has caused a lot of chaos and a lot of disruption to all the moves Trigger wants to make. The only time that Trigger's gotten any success is those 2 drone kills on the 3rd base, really.
Yeah, I mean, probe count losses have got to be pretty minimal on Trigger's side, so the fact that he's hunkered down on this 3-base situation, 3 probes to 3 drones, is actually not bad at all. It's just, when you're in a position where you've not been allowed to move, that's uncomfortable for any Protoss, but for Trigger especially so. But Storm coming online, got Blink coming on, +1 ground weapons as well. And I think you're absolutely right. +1 melee coming on, got Hydra. It's going to be a huge Zerg army appearing in a good couple of minutes.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big economy for it, too. A lot of times we see some relatively, or not relatively, very committed attacks for this setup off, you know, 60, high 60s, maybe low 70s drone count. But on 78 drones, adding even a few more, you can really pump a lot of Hydraling Bane, and it is very scary to deal with. Now, do we have an Overseer done on the map somewhere? I just want to see if that's the case. For now, of course, we do see a little engagement coming through. Good Blink Micro here from Trigger. And that is going to be a nice little small trade for Trigger. But is there an opportunity to contaminate the... Okay, I think he might have made a play at contaminating that Psionic Storm, but it was denied. Very, very hunkering down heavy tech play off 3 bases before that 4th Nexus comes down from Trigger.
It really is, and it's a lot of tech as well. And the Fleet Beacon as well, is that going to be for Tempest to deal with this? You got drop Overlords on the way. You did get the Overlord speed as well. Well, I mean, Trigger knows something's coming, and I think he has a good idea of what's going to come. It's just even so, the knowing is one part. Actually dealing with what's going to happen, that's a rough one.
This is such a great way to play. This is so, so cool. Oh, and the fact that the mothership's being built off the main Nexus, while on paper it should be very safe, could end up being a huge liability. By the way, we do have cannons coming down. I thought that might have been all at the front line at the 3rd base. That's to deal with a potential Muta switch. And that is the power of Shin's preparation and the way he plays as a player. You have to respect it as Trigger. He hasn't been able to get the scouting with hallucinations, but the scouting with revelations that he's maybe wanted. So this is really made Trigger terrified, and if we look at the supplies right now, this is a very fighty, powerful army from Shin. Trigger, he's going to have a lot of defensive power, but he's going to have some very cost-efficient defenses. Here comes the drop into the main base. The cannon is going to be helpful. It is not going to stop it, though. Baneling's rolling into the 3rd base. This is going to be a lot of dead probes. Trigger is in so much trouble.
There are attacks going on here, there, and everywhere. The main base being taken out as well. Is this going to be before the mothership can get out?
Mothership?
I think it is. It's going to be before the mothership can get out as well. That is absolutely brutal. There is a carrier alive, though.
It's done. He gets it down. Oh, my God.
And now, he might have 1 Storm available there, but even so, this is Shin coming in here, still on 80 drones behind this. High Templars, R-Snipe, still 1 is available, but this army got absolutely massacred, and where all those photon cannons are at that 4th base of his, it was almost totally ignored at this point, and rightly so. It was the most defended area, went everywhere else, and Shin, he's not going to slow down, even going for a Spire behind this as well.
Yeah, that's going to be to deal with any potential Tempest. We see the natural expansion, gateways being depowered, cybernetics core being depowered. Mothership has no chance of popping out here at this base. Trigger has to be feeling just desperate at this point. He is now down to 2-0. GG is called. Very well done from Shin. Oh man, after game 1 goes the way that it does, game 2, I think that's even worse for how Trigger must be feeling right now.
It is. Like, if I was a coach in his corner right now, I'd be like, okay, there's going to be weird stuff going to happen, okay? It's going to be stuff that you're not super used to, because this guy, he's in your head right now. He wants to throw you off. So when you feel that it's a good time to move out with those few units that you have to be expecting a second wave to come, because that's what he's all about right now. So just be a little bit careful. I know, like, there are players that really live and die by the best defense is good offense, which it really feels that Trigger is trying to do here with a few units on the map. But Shinny's just like, oh, you're going to be aggressive? Well, my units move really damn quickly, and I'm going to be in your face, so that's not even going to be part of it. And he's absolutely finding a kink in the armor right now, where it's just he's able to exploit weaknesses that Trigger maybe didn't even know he had.
Yeah, this feels like we're watching a prize fighter, a boxer, going up against someone that knows every pressure point and is just jabbing in. And, you know, Trigger goes for a small little jab, and Shin hits him in the elbow, and his arm just kind of collapses and flops on his side. Like, that happened about 8 times in that game. The Overlord drops were brilliant from Shin. Without that, I actually think Trigger's totally fine. He's got Storm, he's got a bunch of cannons, batteries, he's teching up towards the mothership, but as soon as that happened, Trigger panics, he sends his army back into the main base, High Templar gets surrounded in the middle as well as those Blink Stalkers, the cannons are abandoned, the probes are abandoned, the mothership gets denied at 95+%. If that pops out, you can cloak the main base, you can save it. You, like, that is so close to just not happening at all the way that it did, but Shin was so well, he just executed everything so well, and he just read his opponent like a damn book.
Yeah, I'm actually, when I've thought of Shin before, I've always known him as a very good mechanical player, but the way that he's gone into this series, I've enjoyed how he's really thought about it as well. You saw it from Maru, how he went into his series with Trigger, and it was a lot of, I'm going to try and mind game you and throw you off, and Shin's doing exactly the same. And here, getting into Incorporeal, spawning over in the top left-hand side for Weeboo Gaming, it is Shin.
And his opponent spawning down in the bottom right, my countryman. He needs your energy for Basilisk Gaming. It is Trigger.
The last Canadian standing. The one-man army. And I tell you what, he's got no lifelines left. He is 0-2 down against a raging bull on the other side of the map.
Absolutely. Now, we do have to say that the way that the games have been played have not been straight standard, you know?
No, not at all.
If Trigger gets his game plan, gets up to that Blink Storm, gets that 4th base, adds on those Tempests, you gotta think about it in, okay, I got caught off guard a bunch of times, but I can beat this guy. You gotta tell yourself, I'm better than this guy. It might not even be true necessarily, but you gotta tell yourself, you gotta stay in the game mentally. And that is gonna be maybe the hardest part of this in this game 3 for Trigger.
Well, it's about respecting your opponent, not fearing your opponent.
Exactly.
And like a lot of this stuff where you're getting caught off guard time and time again, it's just, not a lot of players will do this against you. Like when players practice, it's like you do the kind of orthodox standard kind of stuff. And right now, the way that Shin's been playing, it is very, I want to say counterintuitive. Like the idea of it, if your opponent's back at home with adepts, those lings on the map, it's just, those could have been drones. And it's like, you know, but the way that he's playing, it's just uncomfortable. So everything that Trigger's practiced up to this point, a lot of it, he has to kind of throw it out the window a little bit and just be like, all right, this guy is, he's a bit nutty. He's doing things that I don't like. I have to be either a bit more safe or a bit more crazy. And that's a tough thing to think about on the spot because maybe you haven't practiced that.
Absolutely. It's 100% Shin playing the player.
This is the most normal opening so far, by the way.
Yeah. By far. We do see, of course, the pylon getting dropped down. Shin was, Trigger was hoping Shin only built the 2 drones, or the 2 lings, so he could get a denial on that base. Not going to be the case. We do see Shin building more than just the normal amount of lings to deal with this, though. It may once again be an attempt to find a pressure point on Trigger's behavior with a potential counterattack. This Adept does get into the main base, but not going to be able to get a drone so far. That's a lot of lost mining time, though. He just pulled the entire mineral line. Wow, okay, that is a lot of damage indirectly.
But that has to signal to Trigger, like, hey, hold on a minute. You killed that pylon with 4 lings. There was 2 there at the back of that base. Where are the other bad boys? And here they are at the natural. And it was a bit of a late reaction, but it's still going to be enough to get away. Second Adept is out. This was actually very fortunate for Trigger, but also just in time. That was clutch.
That was incredibly close and incredibly clutch. Shin was so close to getting a wraparound on that with the slow lings. The third Adept could have very easily... Is that yeah, the third Adept. The third Adept could have very easily been cut there. Obviously, we did not see that from Trigger, so that helps him a lot. Only 1 probe going down, not the worst thing in the world. Minimal amounts of lost mining time.
But look at this. So if Trigger's learned anything from that previous game, don't move out with those Adepts. And right now he's being safe with them. This is really good. Because right now, one of the things you want to do is move out. He actually looks like he wants to take a 3rd base, which has been delayed. But already you can feel that Shin, he's coming out with these kind of funky little timings with these Zerglings, and it is doing work. But Trigger, this game, not falling apart just yet. And actually getting that 3rd base down, not too delayed. Drone count, probe count, pretty good as well. Oracle's able to get a little bit of damage on the other side, and those Zerglings, they haven't got the work done that they wanted.
No, but they've still been a little bit annoying. Like you said, they did delay that 3rd base. It wasn't as big a commitment as the previous game, but I mean, it's all been realistically different. But it's still the best game we've seen from Trigger so far, and I do want to point out another adjustment that he made. In addition, he added that sentry very early on. He has not been scouting as much as I think he's needed to in this series, but those hallucinations that are going to be enabled off of this are going to be very good. Nice little damage here from Trigger, able to find 3 drones. I still think Shin right now is a little bit ahead going into the mid game, maybe even more than a little bit, but it is still probably... No, this is definitely the best position Trigger has been in this series.
Oh, charge first as well. Is it going to be Trigger?
Oh,
doing something a little bit fancy afterwards? I mean...
Yeah, no gases at the natural.
Yeah, this is definitely looking like this is going to be a lot of units out for Trigger. And you know what? I think he's done with being bullied on the playground by the big lad. He is about to try and land a big punch in his face. And +1 melee against +1 ground. I always like the way that Zealots will eventually 2-shot Lings once that upgrade is completed. And Banelings, they are going to be a good counter to that number of Zealots on the field. But does Shin know what's coming? Because Trigger, he's more of a predictable player. But seeing that all in the main, you can be like, oh, it's going to be the same as the previous game, right? It's going to be like Blink Stalkers and what have you. No, absolutely not in game number 3.
And I love what Trigger's done here because, like you said, he is a Blinky boy. He plays Blink almost exclusively. He is very known for that. But coming in here with this charge play is going to be a very powerful move. Roaches not in the game plan for Shin. Like you said, he's going to be relying on those Banelings for the defense, and they can be very effective, but they can also backfire in a big way. Now, it's going to be up to Trigger to make sure that those splits on the Zealots are good. I was talking about hallucinations. He's actually going to be saving the energy for force fields, which can be very good actually against this. Counterattack coming in could be quite a problem. Will be Zealots warped in defensively. Oh, charge does get shown, but we do see this army showing up on the right side. Baneling's just starting to morph in. No defensive safety Banes before this. Can Trigger just get through?
Can he get through indeed? I mean, this is a lot of investment into economy and things that aren't yet alive here. That's a lot of Zealots. Big stasis traps here to stop a lot of those Lings with +1. But the Baneling's starting to get the little roll-ins here, and remember, they can do a lot of damage to these Zealots. They're all clumped up, but the force field's keeping those alive for as long as possible. Where is the next wave from Trigger? There it is, down in the south. More Zealots coming. Those Zerglings will be free very soon, as will those drones. And will that Protoss army get cleaned up? Remember, he's got to warp in from across the map to reinforce here. And was the damage done that he needed? I don't think so, because next thing, Hydras weren't available that fight. Hydra's going to be a big help at dealing damage from the back line.
Yes, but we do see a continuation a little bit here. More Zealots being sent across the map. This is still a lot of Zealots. There's no Banelings morphed. This looked like it was done, but Trigger is going to commit a little bit more to this. The Oracles were killed during that attack, but Shin is still in an uncomfortable position. He did not morph any safety banes behind this. It's going to be a lot of potential damage here. Drones are being microed away nicely. Queen did go down, but Shin will ultimately buy time for the next set of banes. Trigger, oh, those splits this time. If he had done that the first time, this could have been so much better for him. But we are going to see is this enough Zealots? It's very close on the fight. Nice target fire on the Hydras here, but it will mean that the +1 melee Lings are able to wipe out those Zealots. There's the morph on the defensive Banes behind this in case more Zealots come in. And there are more Zealots coming. Trigger is in a position where he can still macro out of this 100%. He's actually got a worker lead, and he's getting Storm, he's getting +2. He doesn't need to keep attacking, but he might feel like he can, or maybe that he feels like he has to.
He's moved up to 6 gases now, and I mean, the worker count absolutely even, but not one of those bases, those peripheral bases, died for Shin. So he is okay economy-wise. The creep spread's pretty decent on that side of the map as well. Archons have joined the fray, and they are going to be fairly brutal. They can get countered by the Hydras, but I tell you what, so far the fight's happening, and I'm not sure if this is what Trigger wants, honestly. I mean, that War Prism is very exposed to these Hydras, but there's only 5 of them alive. One Archon does fall, was not picked up. More Hydras joining the field as well. And if there's one thing that Archons do not want to go up against, it's Hydras in very high numbers. And I think Shin is holding this pretty darn well. Actually, the War Prism also eventually going to get sniped here. Good hold by Shin.
Very good hold right there. Oh, man, I think Trigger had a small misread on this game. He is going to be able to hunt down maybe both of these Hydras. Okay, no, one of them will be saved. I think Trigger had a misread on this game. If he chills at home with Storm, with +2 weapons finishing, 6 gases, 66 probes, he can absolutely play out of this against a Hydraling Bane player. You're going to have to stay on top of your scouting, and that will be difficult. He lost those Oracles during the first push. But attacking in like that has thrown away a lot of units, and now he is going to be in a very uncomfortable position. Lings are going to try and deny this base, but Trigger does have enough Zealots here. He's still able to two-shot those Lings. It's still a position where Trigger, if he gets strong defensive fights, can potentially make something happen. Like, look at Shin's drone count. He's only on 65 drones. He's heavily committed on Hydraling Bane, but this is a big, powerful punch that is going to be coming.
Yeah, I just wanted to hint at something that you were talking about before, like Trigger, maybe to keep the foot on the gas for too long. It's just he's been forced to play a situation that maybe he didn't want to. So it's like very, very uncomfortable with that. It's a lot of Zerg. It's not quite a supply imbalance as the game before, but the amount of tech that Trigger has available here, much healthier. Those High Templars get absolutely blown up by those Banes, and already not the start he was looking for. And this choke as well, look how good it is for these Hydras here. They are in high numbers, great upgrades on them as well. Got range, speed, you name it. And he had taken down the first line of defense. Even that Immortal walks forward, gets bonked and drops its Immortal shield. This is brutal here, and Shin, he can just go here, there, wherever he wants.
There is a Zealot counterattack on the other side of the map. If there was a way to defend this attack, Trigger is finding counter damage. I just don't see how he's going to do so. Immortals are low on HP. The High Templar Archives was taken down. That means no more Storms. Hydras are marching forward here for Shin, and he is on his path to victory. Trigger forced to tap out. Shin advances on to the next round. Immaculate series from the South Korean Zerg.
Really cool series by Shin. Like, he played smart, mechanically, fundamentally very, very solid. And it wasn't easy to read what he was going to do. Like, Trigger was constantly in a position where he's like kind of doubting what he knows and being like, how do I adjust? How do I deal with this? And it just felt like everything went according to plan for Shin. And he got to play his game. That's so important when you go into a series like this. Making sure that you're doing the things like the very forward gold base, super cool. The second game was also a little bit weird. Third game even went for a hatch block attempt. You know, the whole thing was all about, I'm going to throw you off and not let you play what you've practiced. And that is a brutal part of StarCraft 2.
It really is. And I'm simultaneously so impressed with what Shin pulled off and so sad for Trigger at the same time, because that is not the Trigger that we know. as a community, anyone who's watched his streams, his games, we know how good he can be.
He didn't get to play his game.
He didn't get to play a single one of his games, not in the entire tournament.
But when you play in the big leagues, like this is the World Championship where everything over the whole year has been lined up for this moment, and you've got to come in ready to throw your opponent off, not just to constantly get thrown off. And I believe we will be heading to an interview with the man himself. Take it away, Ravi.
Thank you so much, Ben. I am standing here with Shin, who's coming in hot off of his victory. Shin, you definitely showed a lot of preparation in this series. Talk a little bit about what you kind of were thinking with the builds and stuff that you chose for this series.
일단 신이범 선수 승리 축하드리고요. 일단은 이번 경기 좀 준비를 많이 하신 것 같은데 이번 경기 빌드 좀 준비 과정을 한번 좀 얘기를 해볼게요. 좀 어떤 과정을 준비하시는지 궁금합니다.
어제 레이너 선수랑 할 때 빌드를 오히려 너무 많이 준비해서 잘 안 됐던 게 좀 커가지고 오늘은 그냥 정말 레더에서 해볼 만한 그런 제가 그냥 평소에 하던 좋아하던 걸로 좀 준비를 했고 그렇게 막 따로 생각을 많이 하진 않았어요.
Yeah, well, yesterday actually I prepared a lot of builds for the matches, but it didn't really pan out. So actually I just dwindled down on using the builds a bit. It's just I tried to pull the plays that I used to do on the ladder stuff. So I think that went well.
All right, and in game number 3, I think that was where things got the diciest and the scariest. Were you a little bit afraid in that game, or did you feel like you were starting to lose control, or did you still kind of feel like, no, I got this?
이제 3세트에서 좀 많이 흔들리는 모습이 있었는데 그럼에도 불구하고 좀 이길 수 있겠다는 자신감이 있으셨는지 아니면 좀 불안하셨는지 좀 궁금하네요.
1, 2세트를 하면서 그 트리거 선수가 많이 긴장한 게 좀 보여가지고 사실 세 번째 세트도 제가 빌드에서 진 거라서 원래 져야 되는데 예언자 컨트롤도 그렇고 뭔가 다른 컨트롤도 그렇고 뭔가 제대로 안 되더라고요. 그 상대분이 그래서 이길 수 있었던 것 같아요.
Well, seeing the past 2 games, I think I noticed that Trigger was very nervous. So I noticed that his micro wasn't that good compared to his builds selection, because that game 3 actually I had to I felt I lost that game 3 because it was just not a good build for me. But that being said, I think I could use the momentum of his nerves kicking in, and build it into my my weapon.
And you definitely did a great job with that. Speaking of nerves, I just want to check in. How are you feeling right now about how your tournament run is going right now? I know you had a rough match versus Rainer, but you still have a lot of matches coming on up. Are you feeling like your nerves are in control? Are you feeling like you're feeling good now? You've got a W on the board?
이제 긴장감도 얘기해서 그런데 사실 저 어제 패배하시고 나서 맞박각이 좀 심하셨을 것 같은데 좀 경기가 좀 많이 좀 경기하시면서 많이 위축되거나 뭐 그렇게 긴장하시는 모습이 좀 있으셨을 건가요? 있으셨을까요? 아니면은 그래도 좀 그래도 좀 괜찮다 좀 이런 생각이셨을까요?
진짜 오늘 떨어지면은 너무 진짜 너무 힘들 것 같아가지고. 압박감은 있었지만 그래도 긴장 안 하려고 좀 많이 노력했어요.
Yeah, it was definitely stressful because if I go down here today, it'll be so frustrating. So I tried my best not to get eliminated.
Well, I'm so glad that you managed to do that. Congratulations again, Shin, and best of luck with the rest of the event. Guys, we're going to be heading to a break, but we'll be back after with another match, and that's going to be a PvP between Cyan and Showtime.
Welcome back, everyone. After a decisive first series of the day, we are moving on to another one. I am Steadfast. Of course, I'm joined by the lovely Fear Dragon and Demu. What are you guys thinking as we come out of that series?
You know, it's one of those where I was just speaking to the leader of Basilisk, and it was like, you know, sometimes these guys, they can really pick on the dudes with a lack of experience, right? Which is exactly what you saw, and hopefully it's a learning point for Trigger. When it comes to these big tournaments, you have to get ready to make your opponent play your game, and then all of a sudden when you've both got these plans going on and it's like neither one of you get to play and it's pure chaos, at least then it's an even playing field. Because right now when they are doing what they plan and it throws off your plan entirely, you're just not playing a fair game from that point. So all these youngsters, inexperienced players, I mean, Trigger isn't inexperienced at this point, but still you can feel that there are levels to how experienced these guys can get.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you think back about some of the North American players who have risen up in the scene, especially those Protoss players, like an Estrella or like a Neeb, they both also went through this phase where they were really strong on some kind of later game stage or like a mid-game stage, and they face those opponents that would get in their face, like Neeb having to deal with Masa, constantly throwing off every single game plan and everything. Or, of course, Estrella also facing off against all those opponents who would just throw him off of his designated idea or builder. We saw that they had to go through that phase, and hopefully we'll get to see Trigger kind of overcome that as well over time.
Yeah, the growing pains are a hell of a thing to deal with in StarCraft 2 because they really don't stop until you are done, you know? Like, you are just going to continue to find new ways to find pain as the game goes on, but you do get better and better at dealing with it, and I do think this is going to be a good learning experience. I know, Demu, during the break, we were kind of talking about how we were impressed with Trigger's growth going into Game 3. What do you think about that? I know you've been a pro gamer before, and you still are, but like in StarCraft 2, what does it mean to see that for him?
I mean, it's very good. Like, I always felt that I was a player that I also got blind counted hard before games happened, but it's very important that your evolution during a series has to be there. Like, learning exactly what mindset your opponent's in, because very often the really good players know how to shake it up from game to game, but very often there's a story they're trying to sell, or they're honing in on your weak points and learning how to evolve and defend those from game to game. Those are the beautiful games of StarCraft, the beautiful series of StarCraft, where you really get to bounce off each other.
I just had the flashback also as you were talking about that, talking about your experience, of all of the people who used to meme on you because you would just blind 3CC or something, like every single game no matter what. Yeah, you really do know what that was like.
I do know what that was like. Like, I also used to be very aggressive, like with drops and stuff, which, you know, I could also hone in on those weak points, but if I played some guy that was extremely experienced and they watched my stream maybe once, and they're like, oh, you're a greedy homie, huh? And I'm like, yeah, a little bit, but no, it's one of those things that you, early on, you have to kind of incorporate. Like, you have to know what your opponent's going for, and you can use it to your advantage as well. Like, if you're predictable, but then you do something totally off the wall, that's also very, very powerful.
Yeah, and I think it's telling that the best game we saw from Trigger in that series was the one where he made that big adjustment. And yes, things went the way that they went. It wasn't ideal, but it would have been very easy to see no adjustment whatsoever, and then maybe Shin wins that third game even harder, and, you know, Trigger doesn't, I don't want to use the term, but learn the lesson, I guess, of the value of that mid-game adjustment, because he really was in a pretty darn good position during that, after the first Zealot attack. If he stays home, if he recognizes the position, gets that +2, gets a bunch of high Templars, slowly takes his 4th base, I think we're looking at a very different game number 3.
I'm with you, Dave, but it's also one of those things where I feel like even yesterday you were talking about this with Cyan's match versus Hero, where there are two approaches of how you can do it, and there's always like the two pieces of advice. It's either really just double down and just say, no, have confidence and have faith in like your practice and stuff. I've done all this. There's a reason why I should do this. And then there's a point where you have to say, where do I deviate? And I feel like it's not that like players like Trigger don't know that sometimes you have to adjust and everything. It's knowing when do you have to adjust and when do you just trust your practice, because you don't want to just stop playing everything that you've been practicing this whole time for this event just because your opponent did something strange. And I agree with you. I think that like this was clearly a case where you did need to adjust.
Yes.
But like I think that like, that is where, to me, a lot of the experience ends up coming in from.
You know, I know we're going to talk about Cyan versus Showtime very soon, but you just remind me of a story. Like, I remember when Goblin was like 16 years old. I've talked about this before, but he played a game at a DreamHack and he ended up losing like 2-1 or something. But I remember like he was talking with Kevin afterwards and he was like, I didn't think he would expect me to do the same thing 3 times in a row. Like, how dumb was he? And we were just like, what? Like, if you're a predictable guy and you're doing the same thing 3 times in a row, of course he's going to expect the same thing 3 times in a row.
Why are you playing at my level?
So like, a lot of the younger players, when they are in that set, they don't think about these things, about how they are predictable. They think like, oh, their opponent won't expect the same thing. Like, it's a mind game in itself. So yeah, just funny.
It's almost like this poker effect when you're just learning the game and you go up against someone that's been playing for 20 years and you're like, they won't expect me to bluff 4 times in a row. And it's like, well, you've bluffed 3 times in a row, and then in the previous table, you bluffed 15 times in a row. They might be looking for that. And unfortunately, in this particular situation, that's kind of the situation we saw, which is that lack of adjustment. And once again, we're talking about a very different scenario. I'm not saying Trigger shouldn't have gone for the Zealot attack. I think that was the brilliant part. I think the tricky part is recognizing the position you're in when the game has gotten chaotic. And that Shin is still going to play a very aggressive style behind it because, yeah, it's so hard to predict. Now, we can talk about things going differently. If he keeps those oracles alive, he's able to revelate. He's able to stay on top of the army a lot more. That was obviously an execution error during the first attack, but you can't undo that when you're already past it in the game. So it was good progression from Trigger, but yeah, we'll see what happens. For now, though, let's move on to the next match. What do we think about Cyan versus Showtime? For me, I'm very excited about all these fans in the background cheering on their boy.
Yeah, I'd love actually to see all the fans supporting Cyan out here. It's actually been great to see. I do think this is going to be a really tough match, and I would say this similar about how I think Hero was a very tough match, but Cyan is actually 0-11 versus Showtime in the past. And what's also just kind of a funny fun fact is that outside of, I think, like 2 years where they played multiple times and 1 year, which I think was 2019, that they didn't play, they have played once every single year since 2016. And I think last year they played 2 times, and I think like 2022 they played 4 times. But besides like those 2 outliers, they basically played one series every single year. And Showtime is 11-0.
I do want to ask though, what was the series score if you have it offhand?
11-0. 11-0.
No, sorry. In the last 2 ones, like what was the map score?
I don't remember the map score for the last 2.
Honestly, that's the only thing I'm interested in. It's if we talk about games that happened in 2018,
I will say it was a lot of 2-0s, though.
It was a lot of 2-0s?
2-0s.
Okay.
Sometimes like a 1-0 because it'd be like in a team league or something.
Oh,
but yeah.
The other thing to consider is I don't know if these two have ever played offline against each other. I'm not going to say that that gives Cyan some kind of advantage or anything, but online versus offline, there's a huge difference.
There is a huge difference, and these guys are both very experienced, but one thing I definitely saw with Cyan yesterday, when just these tiny little things were going wrong, you could see that his body was shaking, like tilting his head, the typical gamer tilt. But when it comes down to Showtime, he's the kind of guy that can duke it out with some of the best Protosses here. And Cyan did very well against Hero, all things considered, yesterday. But style-wise, Cyan is going to be the guy probably trying to do the curveballs, as you Americans say. But whereas Showtime, he's just very good at catching those. Especially in this matchup. I know he got a bit dismantled and thrown off by Cure yesterday, but this is a matchup that he's very familiar with. He knows he's had to practice PvP because there's going to be very good Protosses here, probably going far as well. I think Showtime is very much the overwhelming favorite.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, this is Showtime's highest win rate matchup. This is the matchup he feels the most confident in, at least if not in emotion, it is just in stats. He has the highest win rate in this matchup of all of his other matchups.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a beast. He's a beast overall in StarCraft 2, every matchup. When everyone was playing the Void Ray meta, he was still playing gateways, and he was still putting up a competitive series against Serral consistently. Yes, he didn't win many of them, but we're talking 2-3s in big tournaments consistently. He was one of the big dogs of Europe, and he always has been.
Yeah.
He is so powerful. I mean, you got to look at the posture. He's handsome.
He's closing his eyes, meditating, looking very zen as well. But no, I like what you said about Showtime. He's been around for a long time now. When you had the Snoot era in Europe, Showtime was there duking out with Snoot in finals. And he's been throughout many different guys that he's seemingly lived in their shadows, right? Which, right now, this is the best that Showtime's looked in a while. Got to the finals of Home Story Cup, did very well as well, going into the upper bracket there, into the final. This is one of his best chances here at a big tournament. Protoss is looking as good as it ever has done as well.
I think this is actually one of the things that honestly scares me a little bit. And I think this goes into why this is such an impactful tournament for Showtime. And again, this is an elimination match similar to the last one. The loser of this is going to get knocked out of the event. But Showtime is one of those players where we've seen so many times over and over and over again. He is one of these top contenders. He's facing off against some of the top dogs, like a Serral, take him to a game 5 and all these other things. But he does seem like he's never quite satisfied getting that super deep run, that big, run it to the finals or a top 4 finish or something at one of these global events. I really, really hope he can, you know, turn around after like his really honestly devastating loss yesterday in the winner's side of the bracket, because I think that like one thing I do fear sometimes with Showtime is that he almost gets into his own head when it comes to like these do or die really big event moments. Even though he's got so much experience and everything under his belt, I do actually think sometimes it's like you can see that he shows up as like a really strong Showtime in the early stage of an event, and then at this later stage, he just kind of gets thrown off his game, and it's not the Showtime we want to see from him sometimes.
That is a very valid point, and to speak to that specifically, I think both of you are actually correct in a very big way. The last 2 home story cups, Showtime, or the last 2 of the last 3 maybe, I think it was the last 2 in a row, he has made it to the finals with some very impressive results, but unfortunately was not able to cross that final hurdle and get that big tournament victory. And that is the kind of thing that you remember, you know, it does stick in your head. But to the point Dima was making, he hasn't been in the finals for those tournaments. You know, he is peaking. He has definitively shown himself as the best of the rest in Europe. You know, we've got Clem, we've got Raynor, we've got Cyril. That is the triumvirate. Obviously Max Pax as well, but we, you know, he is, we talk about the ones that are at this tournament. Showtime right now has distanced himself a little bit, I would say, from Hero Marine, for example, from maybe a Spirit, from those players that are really, really, really good, but can't quite crack it into the next stage. And even to that point, Showtime has been beating Raynor. That's how he got the spot at the Star Zagora. He knocked out Raynor in the lower bracket and punched his ticket to this tournament. He has looked so damn good. Now, I do just want to point out to everyone obviously watching, we are not delaying for no reason. We're just making sure that the players are all settled in and everything is good.
God, Dave, I know that people, you just really like listening to the sound of your own voice, but...
Oh, no, I love listening to the sound of my own voice. You're very wrong. Love is the word we would use.
Love, yes, sorry, my bad. I do think, actually, one thing I want to say is we are talking a lot about Showtime, and that's because if you were here watching the stream, this stream yesterday, you would have seen Cyan versus Hero. And one thing that we were talking about earlier was just that Cyan did have a pretty impressive performance versus Hero. Despite losing, he showed some really strong promise and everything. So I think that this is actually one of those moments where it's not impossible, and Dave, you even predicted it, it's possible that Cyan could actually still end up winning this series. He could actually pull off a really big upset.
Yeah, no, I think... I mean, hindsight is now going to make it look very good on my part, but I think that this was going to be a closer series than Trigger versus Shin. Now, I could still be wrong about that.
Yeah.
That is very possible, but I think looking at it now, it feels like a pretty safe bet. I don't know. It is still an uphill battle, and it would still be a huge upset if Cyan were to take it. I do think it would be very cool for the fans that have come out to support him. I think that would be amazing if he were to be able to do that with, you know, a bunch of people cheering him on. Yeah, I do hope that this one goes the distance, though. Now, what are we thinking about predictions? Ravi, scoreline. Give me a scoreline.
I do think I'm deciding between like a 3-0 or 3-1 for Showtime.
For Cyan, yeah.
For Showtime. Yeah. I'm not doing the hot take on that one. You could own that one by yourself. I do think it's probably going to be, I'm going to go with a 3-0 for Showtime, because I believe that when he has that night of rest, he can kind of get past the loss from yesterday and everything, and get into a good mindset and be ready to carve his wall through the lower bracket.
Yeah, I honestly, there's definitively a part of me that hopes for that. Not that hopes that Cyan gets eliminated, but hopes that Showtime can turn that beast mode on and make a deep run, just drive right through the lower bracket. Because those are oftentimes the coolest runs in tournaments. Everyone remembers that tournament from Select in one of the very first MLGs, the one that E.G. Idra, not Idra, won way back in the day, where Select, I think he won 21 best of threes in a row after getting knocked down in the first match. Like, it was an insane run, and it was so hype. Now, we've come a long way. Human rights have, improved significantly, so we allow players to not have to play quite so many games. But with all that being said, Ben, what are your thoughts?
So I agree with a lot of what's been said. Showtime for me has always been one of those guys that is very good against players that he's better than, which I don't tend to find that Showtime gets
upset.
He doesn't tend to get upset. It's when he plays against the big dogs, where he's not the favorite, that it can kind of seem like choke time a little bit. But I don't like saying that about him, because I know when he plays against those guys, I'm like, yeah, Showtime can absolutely beat that guy, and very often it can happen. But against people that he is the favorite against, he doesn't tend to falter. This is one of those situations. PvP is one that's difficult as well to super catch your opponent off guard, because if you're very good, you can always turn it into a relatively normal game. And with that, Showtime's almost second to none at doing that. I mean, Classic is one that also comes to mind. But yeah, I think Showtime's going to handle this one. I would expect a 3-0, a 3-1 at worse for him.
Yeah, you remind me of that era of Showtime, which I feel like was only just a few years ago or something, where he was known as this Protoss player who just did not, yes, there was the max packs or something that was defeating him in PvP, but Showtime just didn't lose PvPs to almost anyone outside of literally the top 1 or 2 best players in the world.
We got
that's great.
A little bit of memery from the Chinese scene there. Love to see it. That was the one of the heads of SC Boy. That was very cool. They had a face mask. I know that they come out with some absolutely amazing memes. On Twitter, I remember there was this one that they made, and it was it had some anime music, and they made a bunch of faces from WTL, and it was all the players, and they go into these regular expressions, and they're like, yeah, oh, and it's unbelievably funny. I think I've watched it for hours in total.
You had to be there.
Yeah. It's a 30-second thing, but it is incredibly funny. So they really know their memes in the Chinese scene.
No, I really enjoy watching you recreate
try
it.
and describe.
Yeah, it just reminds me of this Twitch streamer or something who's trying to make their YouTube face thumbnails. They're huh, huh, huh. It's just no, I enjoy.
Yeah, they're
it. Look at how much I study for my matches.
Yeah. The funny thing is, people are going to be like, wow, they're making fun of X YouTuber. It's no, I'm making fun of every YouTuber that's
I was making fun of Dave, but I thought that was clear.
See, that's the thing. I didn't even know. It could have been anyone.
Oh, man. So I think that it sounds like these matches are going to be starting relatively shortly.
I think very soon.
Yeah, in the next couple of minutes or so. But I'm so curious. Ben, you were talking about how Showtime is this solid wall and everything. What do you feel like Cyan needs to do based on what you saw yesterday from him, and how do people break that solid wall that just usually doesn't lose to lesser players?
So what
build a greater wall.
I mean, what Showtime does really well is, even if somebody does something weird, he's very good at putting his plan back in motion. So good at that. So if you're trying to throw him off, you have to do something so extreme, such as Cure with his proxy 12 base situation, which completely threw him off, let's be real. You either have to go truly weird and wacky or outplay them. And Showtime's always been that kind of guy that, if you beat me, you have to outplay me. And he's very good about making the games go that way. So it's just, on paper, this is one of the roughest players for Cyan to go up against. I know there's a lot of really good players at this tournament, but within regards to somebody that is just a bit better than you at nearly everything, yeah, I would not like to be his coach right now, because this is going to be a rough one. I know I'm making Showtime appear like this all-knowing genie that's just solid on every front, but I can't emphasize enough how good Showtime is when it comes to somebody that he not only does he know he's better than, but he is better than. He very often doesn't lose. And I do feel that as far as Showtime's concerned, he doesn't really belong here in the first round in the lower bracket, even though we did lose to Cure. I really thought that series against Cure was going to be closer. But yeah, as soon as he gets the ball rolling, we know what this man can do in the lower bracket.
At first, I I thought you were saying he doesn't
That's a
think
phrase
Cyan,
you don't usually hear as a positive thing.
Yeah, he doesn't think Cyan belongs here, and I'm like,
oh, he doesn't think he himself belongs here.
Yeah, in the lower bracket. But I like had a brain fart, and I was like, Ben, you can't say that, man. This is just another nice shot of the Chinese fans. JD Gaming showing up in force to support their player.
Make StarCraft great again. Is it not already great already? Protoss are doing so well.
Lancer luck over the wall?
Oh.
Yeah. Hell yeah, I like that. I like that. That is awesome. Yeah.
I love like almost like the calligraphy of all the letters and everything, both for like the word like or the name Lancer and everything, which by the way is also the other ID for Cyan. If those are one, if you've seen the name Lancer around, Cyan also goes by Lancer. So I just want to explain that in case it was a confusion point.
Do we know who they would go on to play? Whether they win this match?
That's a really
I tried
great
looking
question.
that up, and it's going to be, I believe, a Protoss or a Protoss or a Zurich, but I couldn't figure out which match led to like this like lower bracket match. Every single time I've tried to like analyze the bracket, be like, I finally understand brackets. I say the wrong thing on a broadcast, and then the Liquipedia Discord just like lights me up.
This is why I definitely wanted to ask you guys about it rather than kind of just being like, oh yeah, it's this, right? Because then, you know, I get that little tweet that's like, damn, Demu wrong again. And I'm like, oh,
I think from what I recall on this side of the bracket, though, I believe that it was just Terrans and Zergs on the top side. Oh, no, actually, no, sorry. That was for the Shin Trigger match, actually. So this one, it is actually likely going to be any one of the races. It could literally be any of them based on what I know.
I mean, if they do a flip, so it's not a rematch.
It'd be Hero, Cure, Classic, or Serral.
That is not easy.
No.
That is not easy.
No, that is not easy in the slightest. But you know what? I will say, like, and I think this kind of goes a little bit without saying just the fact that we're saying Cyan is kind of the underdog coming into this. So that'd be a really tough match for either one of these players. But I do think, I look at that lineup of players, Hero versus Showtime. I do think Showtime, while maybe not favored going into that, I think he is capable of doing that. I think same thing with Classic. Serral, we've seen Showtime have really good series and stuff against. Maybe he could also do something there. And Cure, I think Cure would be, I think, a really tough one for him. But yeah, I can see some magic happening there.
Yeah, because I don't know how they do it with rematches and stuff, but yeah, I dare say they try to avoid those. And those are the three names you mentioned: Classic, Serral, Hero. Potentially the best of, you know, their races to go up against. So it's not easy whatsoever.
You have two of the best Protoss players in the world up there. It's even for Showtime, who's great with PvP. That's going to be kind of tough. But Ben, I think we actually have a game ready for us. We are moving on to ley lines down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map. On top of this red Protoss player, he is Showtime.
Representing his new team, Sentinels. Nice to see those lads in the StarCraft 2 scene. And spawning over in the top right, representing JD Gaming, the blue toss, it is Cyan. This is going to be mentally difficult for Cyan, physically difficult for Cyan. Showtime is the kind of guy, he has tangoed with some of the best Protosses in the world recently. He is one of the few Protosses that has gone toe-to-toe with MaxPax over the past couple of years in all these online tournaments, and actually held his own to some extent. I know MaxPax has been regarded as one of the best PvP players on the planet, especially during the Wongay Expo.
Oh my god, frustratingly good at that.
But Showtime was so willing to go Sky Toss and match him in that every time, and you can't say that about just anybody. So yeah, Showtime, he's a flexible fella, and right now we've got very similar builds going on for both these guys.
Yeah, I feel like one thing I really respected about Showtime during that era too is that he faced off against MaxPax, and he didn't just cave into saying like whatever MaxPax is doing as the best Protoss player or PvP player in the world is just what everyone should be doing. Showtime would still kind of go off and do what he felt like was his best chance at things, and he would still give MaxPax that kind of run for his money. So I really do respect that Showtime also just kind of finds his own niche and is like, yeah, you know what? This is the way I think StarCraft does need to be played. And he'll still do that even if it deviates from what maybe like the best player in the world is doing.
So already it was Cyan yesterday that was going for the double Adept openings. Here, he's gone for a double Stalker play. Now, neither one going for the most standardly safe in the Stalker Sentry.
Yeah.
But it does like Showtime will want to be aggressive with the double Adept, at least just to test your opponent. It's the first game of a best of 5. I always like those kind of openings where it's like, okay, how good are you at dealing with the walling and stuff? Because that's one thing that Cyan definitely neglected quite a bit in his series against Hero.
Yeah, and another double Stalker follow-up, so it's going to go up to the 4-Stalker. This is a really, really nice pressure play in the sense that it can both deal with any kind of Adepts that are moving across the map, but it also can make sure that your opponent did invest in the shield battery and everything back at home. It can potentially just kill any kind of really, really greedy builds. Showtime did actually go for, I think, I saw 1 sentry. Was that 2 sentries?
I think it was 2 sentries,
2 sentries, okay. So yeah, this can become a kind of scary moment if those Stalkers just find an opportunity to move across the map without the Adepts able to find that damage. You can already see 2 Stalkers here. There's a shield battery, or a pylon over here with a shield battery coming on down, but even the shield battery can just get target fire down with 4 Stalkers eventually. That gets kind of scary.
I mean, sentries are a lot better now against shields on Protoss units, so not too bad, but Showtime is very aware of what's happening to him here. He did not see a Nexus going up as early as his. It is going up now, but Cyan already playing a little bit tricky because Showtime, he doesn't know about that Nexus. In his eyes, this could be just a good old 4-gate at his front door, so he has to be careful and respectful here. I mean, there was a pylon on the low ground, and he's getting to see the warpins. Not too crazy warpins, though, going on there.
That's a really nice scout, though. The fact that he does see, okay, it's like a warpins of some additional Adepts, so this is going to be continued harassment. You're not just doubling down into what you were saying of, like 4 more gateways or something, coming out with pure Stalker reinforcements. That kind of stuff can get pretty scary, but that does mean that Showtime can start to invest a little bit more things like, yeah, I can afford an Observer. I don't need to get a like immediate Immortal because I'm getting all in.
No, definitely. And right now, it feels like Showtime's been doing a very good job of just probing up, make sure he's not getting supply block, make sure he's not letting any of these Adepts in his base either, which is also very smart. Gets an Observer out immediately. We'll be able to find out exactly what's out there outside his base, and honestly, Showtime will have enough to bust out of this pretty darn soon, and Cyan getting a Warp Prism behind it, so you will have that faster than you would have Blink, but it feels like his game plan is all about being in the face of Showtime.
Yeah, what is the Warp Gate count at now? Can we get a quick check on that? It looks like it's just 2 for both of these players. So, I mean, if he is able to use that Warp Prism, I mean, this is what I was going to say. It's going to be scary because if you lose these units, that is absolutely massive. Showtime slaughtering a lot of Cyan's forward forces. The sentries coming to reinforce a little bit too late there for Cyan are going to be in so much trouble. So much of the firepower is just gone now.
Oh, no, there's more force fields available on both sides. I mean, the Warp Prism will help a lot for being able to save these units, but Showtime just has way more firepower as well.
Oh, not quite able to get it, but he's going to get so many additional Stalkers. The Warp Prism can't even pick up that many more units. Another sentry goes down. This could just be a kill move now for Showtime.
Oh, that Warp Prism there, it was so close being sniped by a bunch of Stalkers, but now Showtime with a 20 supply lead, bigger economy, better army. And Cyan, he does have a shield battery over here, but look at that. That is not enough to deal with this.
Yeah. Showtime could invest in a Warp Prism if he really wants to commit to just, or going to all in. Actually, no, sorry, the Warp Prism is right there with his army. It looks like it has arrived. 1 Adept does get picked off over there. A lot of force fields being used for Cyan. I think he has maybe 1 more force field left over if he doesn't want to energy overcharge anytime soon. It looks like Showtime is actually going to back off for the moment. Maybe just get a safe reinforcing warp in and take some of those units for some harassment, it looks like. Yeah, I don't hate that at all, honestly.
No, I think this is smart by Showtime, and he's actually going for Adept Glaives behind this, along with a 3rd.
Oh, that's got to be a very aggressive play, though, right? You just don't go Adept Glaives in PvP unless you are really looking to put on the pressure, because the Adept Glaives is not exactly an upgrade that does well later on.
No, it isn't, and look at this little squad over here as well. This is not easy to deal with. Nice pick up micro on the side of Showtime, and gets away with his unit, staying alive, picked off 2 Stalkers, I do believe, and 2 probes there. So nice little trade. And right now, Showtime knows that he's done better in these fights thus far. And the fact that he's got a third on the go, Cyan doesn't, and he's still so far ahead in supply. Both going for glaives, by the way.
Wow, that's really fascinating to see. I'm so curious how this is going to end up actually panning out in the end.
Really badly for Cyan, I tell you that, because this is going to be so much more for Showtime, and he's just going to have the same tech available.
Yeah.
This is very brutal. And I mean, you get to see that the Twilight Council is boosting, but army-wise, you've seen a lot of Stalkers, so you probably assume Blink, but Adept Glaives at this point, when you've just got more available, this is such a bad situation for Cyan.
Yeah, I think the one thing that can potentially turn things around here for Cyan is that if you are the one that gets aggressive first and are able to use those Adepts to just secure an economic advantage while you get additional tech up behind things, I think things can still sometimes turn out okay. You'll really get a lot more value out of that upgrade than your opponent, but I mean, the upgrade is finished here for Showtime, and Cyan is actually the one that's going to be moving on out here. This is going to be really all about, oh man, the scout over
and
here even sees the
Adepts.
Yeah, I mean, that is so big here for Showtime. He just has to execute the defense now really well.
He really does. That's all he needs to do. I mean, he's gathering a good 600 minerals more per minute. That's 6 Adepts more per minute. Every moment that goes by is a good moment for Showtime. And kudos to Cyan. He's built up a very huge flock here. But remember, he's got to fight against shield batteries as well with this army. First Immortal does drop immediately, and shades are thrown, and Cyan, he has knocked on the front door of the big bear himself. Those Adepts get right in onto the army. Immortals are falling, and Cyan's doing whatever he can with that War Prism, but this is just a battle of numbers, and look at that. Cyan got absolutely melted.
Showtime takes the first game. Cyan showing some good moves in here and there, but it really did just seem like Showtime had figured out his early game opening with the early game defense, took that lead by killing off some of those units with those force fields, and just everything after that was Showtime kind of in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, Showtime's build and the way that he handled it, an earlier Nexus didn't over-respond to the kind of weird play that Cyan was throwing at him. And I feel that's something that Showtime just does very well. Like, no matter how weird it was early on, he just did what he did, got on track, got his third base going, won the fights as well. You can tell that if they're both, I always like to talk about Tony Hawk's back in the day with the stat bars, but I feel that if Cyan is like 8s across the board, across everything, Showtime is just that little bit better, but on every bar. And that game shows it to me, because all those fights, it was just, oh, Showtime's winning. Oh, he's picking up more units. Oh, Cyan's got to go home. A base ahead as well. Really nice play from Showtime, and he's looking fairly calm, trying to keep himself calm as well.
Yeah, PvP is also honestly a very unforgiving matchup with any of those kind of little losses. When you do, even in the early game, lose a couple of extra early units to a bad fight, things snowball so quickly in this matchup. You just lose all map control, your opponent pushes across the map, suddenly you're throwing down shield batteries while your opponent is taking the Nexus or something, or taking up some additional tech. You kind of saw a bit of that, but with a more extreme degree. This is definitely one of those matchups that you just cannot make mistakes in. And that is what this man up here in the top right-hand corner of the map is very good at not doing, is making mistakes. He is the red Protoss player. It is Showtime from Team Sentinels.
And spawning over in the bottom left-hand side as our blue toss, representing JD Gaming, it is Cyan. I really hope for Cyan's sake that some of these tricks end up paying off, or just playing the nice solid Protoss 3-base situation, because yeah, it's brutal. This is the biggest stage that you'll play on throughout the whole year. The prize money is humongous. They're both already walking away with, what is it, $17,500 at this stage in time? Maybe 12.5?
Yeah, I mean, I know that going out in just the round of 16 is almost like $15,000. It is
17.5, so a huge amount of money already. So, for those guys back at home, oh yeah, 5,000 more per for just winning this match alone. But a lot of people at home could be like, you know what, it's pretty good. Even if you lose, you go home. These guys did not come here to lose in the first round. I mean, they definitely want to walk home with something. Cyan definitely a huge underdog in the tournament overall. But Showtime, he's a European that's been looking to make waves and moves happen. And I really feel that this is his time to shine.
Yeah, and I want to mention that in the last game, I believe Showtime did the same thing as he's doing this game, where the probe comes in and says, I see one pylon, where's your second pylon? You're doing this again. Where there's nothing actually funky that came out in game number 1. But game number 2, he's going to use that proxy pylon and actually go for the Stargate. And again, for Cyan, this is going to look the same as game number 1. The only maybe difference is he's going to see, okay, are there Adepts versus Stalker Sentry and everything? And yeah, looks like it's going to just end up being those Adepts again.
Yeah, and I always like these kind of plays as well, where those 2 Adepts will show themselves, and Cyan could very well be thinking, oh, he's doing the same thing again, right? Because it worked, why wouldn't you? But we already see this is very different. We are the all-seeing eyes over here, and those kind of plays are some of the most brutal when it really comes down to it. Gets to snipe the probe, and it's like, oh, you've got a pylon building here? I'm going to pretend that I really want that Nexus, so I'm not going to go across the map with those Adepts. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, this is really going to be annoying. That probe is going, oh man, it's leading that Stalker and the Sentry in such a weird and interesting angle. And it's going to send them so far away from home for this Oracle. It's going to be coming on out. Does Cyan also send his next 2 Stalkers immediately outward? And yes, he does. He's sending them straight across the map.
And I think this was a lot about keeping those Adepts at home, you know. Just the fact that it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about your first 2 units. So, again, just these little moves, these little mind games where you're constantly trying to make your opponent second-guess themselves and this army back at home. But upon seeing, okay, where's your gas? Where is it? And that's a nice shield battery in the main base for Cyan. Is it going to be in time, though? It doesn't look like it. And these hallucinations were a nice little play here, but
yeah, I mean, the Oracle is going to be able to get so much damage done over here, but the shield battery is going to be able to salvage the situation, it looks like. The Adepts also going to start taking a lot of damage here. That was such a nice hallucination play there from Cyan. I really have to point that out because they absorbed so many of the initial early shots there. They also bought time for the rest of the units to get there, and now suddenly an Artosis pylon that's powering both of the warp gates is coming on out. One warp gate will get repowered with another one of these pylons, but that's one additional warp gate down in a situation where Showtime is already kind of getting a little bit flustered, I would say, with some of the attacking that's going on.
It's all right, though. He did manage to get 2 of his own Stalkers out. The Oracle comes back as well, and a recall being done here, realizing that he won't be able to get away truly, and does lose a Stalker for his troubles. All things said and done, blink on the way for both these players. Now, Stargate being out and available does mean you'll always have to worry about your mineral lines, which is a little bit brutal, but
I think even more than just the mineral lines, it's just the continuous, obviously you have the hallucinating Phoenix Scouts and everything that come out, but it's just the ability to continuously throw out revelations. You can throw up stasis traps. There's just so many annoying things you can get value with from that Oracle, even if the shield batteries are in each of those mineral lines, which just honestly denies most of the actual damage it can get done to the mineral line. It's still going to be such a great tool. So I agree with you, and I think I like this position overall for Showtime. But I think Cyan's definitely got some still potential to turn things around. This is not a massive lead, I think.
No, not at all. It's always nice having the Oracle available, primarily for the stasis traps. But you're right, it's just this aggressive pylon over here. Cyan, again, wants to be the aggressive. Oh, is he going to spot? That is so damn close to being spotted there. That could have been actually a real thorn in his side, revealing the plans already. But we see stasis traps on the map. This could also be a little bit brutal, depending on where Cyan ends up going. But it looks like he's, I was going to say, navigating across. 3 Stalkers are caught out immediately. The little bottom lip of Cyan just kind of go, oh, that's not quite what I wanted there.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit annoying. It's going to delay this attack pushing across the map. But he's waiting for the warp gate, I guess, anyways, so has a little bit of extra time to work with. And finds 2 force fields on 3 of those Stalkers. Kills one of them. The rest of them do manage to blink on by. Adepts also shading into the main base. Oh, this could get very annoying very quickly. Even just finding the damage in the natural at the same time. If he's able to mount the defense, Showtime's going to be in a great position, but he has to mount that defense here.
He really does. He's against a pretty huge number, but he's getting those shield batteries online just in the nick of time. Has to be careful, though. That is a huge arch that he's marching into with those Stalkers. Gateway count's got to be pretty low for Showtime. Cyan, though, he planned this. He's far more prepared for what's going to be happening here. Those Adepts, you are absolutely right. They are going to come in clutch for just slowing this down a little bit. But, the stasis! He did not know about it. A hero blink right into it, and that has bought Showtime so much needed time. And here again to see where the warp in gate is as well. That is brutal.
It's a disaster now for Cyan, and he has to now commit to this because all of his stalkers are over here. Showtime's going to be able to potentially engage against these. The probes also being pulled off the line just to absorb some additional firepower because Showtime knows he did a lot of damage with his own Adepts. If he's able to keep this third base alive with all these shield batteries, he's going to be in a good spot. The stalkers for Cyan are blinking on back. They're staying alive for a little bit. He's doing a great job with the micro, honestly. Is this going to be enough here for Cyan? The supplies are actually really, really even right now.
They're ridiculously even. The thing is, those shield batteries are in high numbers. Those shields are getting replenished here. Showtime launching the counter offensive here, keeping these stalkers alive as best he can. And this was all or nothing for Cyan. Even use an aggressive blink for that pylon over there. And remember, Showtime is on 3 Nexus. I believe that Cyan did get a third Nexus up behind this, so that's actually a big deal, and he has teched into Immortals behind this as well.
Yeah, I think that's why I feel like Cyan, he did get up some semblances of the transition here, and Showtime was also very focused on the defense. He was not exactly, you know, getting up a robotics bay or any of the crazy stuff that you would do if you were just sitting back at home by yourself with no one really harassing you.
But look at this probe production. Like, I don't know how many probes Showtime lost during those engagements, but the fact that Cyan is still only on 48 and he's
just not making them.
He's not probing at all.
Yeah.
He is not about making this a long, drawn-out game. He is all about what am I going to do next and how am I going to attack you? It's gateways, it's not probes, it's not extra gases either. He's on 4 gases, he's very happy with that. Showtime just sticking with the 3. So Showtime's going to have a very heavy gateway-centric army, and look at that, going straight into charge. And against Immortals, that's going to be quite nice.
Yeah, all the big gateway flooding come out from Cyan, as well as 5 of those gateways are about to be finishing on up. And Immortal getting focus fire down. A handful of these stalkers are going to be falling here for Showtime. A blink back is maybe going to be a bit dangerous, leading him into the stasis trap. Oh, beautiful detection there from Cyan. Realizes the stasis trap at the last second.
He's just so committed. 48 probes still. Like that income is going to start making a huge difference. Showtime even taking a 4th Nexus behind this. Now, I have no idea how aware he is of everything that's going on behind this, but taking out those 2 Immortals, that was pretty huge. I don't necessarily think he needed to commit there, given that he's getting the counter 2 Immortals, but these stasis, man, they are doing work here. They're just slowing down everything that Cyan wants to do, and he wants to be on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the value of that Oracle that Showtime had in relatively evenest positions earlier on. This is an awkward angle for Showtime, though. He's going to have to retreat back from a very strange position, ends up recalling and barely fits all of the stalkers in range of that. Oracle is on the other side of the map looking to find any kind of damage or maybe just scouting, I guess, for additional tech transitions. Sees that there's nothing. Zealot's going to get warped in over here for Showtime, and +1 weapons is about to finish for him as well.
Oracle's going to go ham, though, slowing down the reinforcements by just being here, tickling those probes. And right now, again, Cyan needs damage done. He's only got 1 sentry in this mix, 4 force fields if he wants, so maybe for a Guardian Shield instead. But this army, it's got 1 opportunity here, and more Immortals coming out for Showtime, a big switcheroo for him, and having that front line of Zealots is going to be huge for these engagements. But look how patient Showtime's being. He's not going all in, he's utilizing those shield batteries at the back here for his Blinky boys, keeping the Zealots, building up that number as well. I love it, and now he's going to go in. The Immortal in the back there, you can't blink on it because you're just going to fall into the fire of all the other units, and wow, takes down the Warp Prism, does Showtime, and here, that army of Cyan just gets absolutely obliterated once again. Showtime 2-0.
A big lead there for Showtime. Definitely a strong game in a lot of ways for Cyan, but once again, Showtime finding these little leads and finding ways to just carry it into a bigger and bigger and bigger lead. That Oracle has got to be MVP of that game, though, Ben.
That Oracle did a lot. Like, it did a little bit of damage initially, but then just keeping it alive. One of the players that I saw initially being so good with Oracles after the fact was MaxPax, just having stasises out here, there, and everywhere. But that slowed down stuff more than we'd ever know. Like, you could see that Cyan, he is an emotional player. You can see it on the webcams and stuff, but he was definitely reacting. And the fact that that blink went into the 3rd, if that stasis wasn't there, we could be looking at a totally different result. So that stasis alone changed the course of this game. And yeah, it just shows you that Showtime is using all the tricks and knowledge and experience that he has to stay alive, but then also just to recoup, get back on track. He's playing a good series. They're both playing a good series, but Showtime just edging it out just a little bit.
Yeah, I like that Cyan is doing things that are just a tiny bit tricky. It's not so far off the beaten path. It's not super abnormal or anything, but it's just, okay, I'm going to do one of these openings that maybe Protoss players don't do quite as often, which is just going for the 4-stalker pressure and everything in game number 1. Game number 2, just getting a little bit more aggressive and everything and halting the probe production a bit earlier to just go for that big attack before really investing in that third base. So little things like that, I like the ideas from Cyan. It's just execution-wise, it's so tough to pull off against Showtime. You have to be perfect with everything, and Showtime is just showing with standard play how we can defend and deal with a lot of these kind of little nuances of the aggression.
He's very good at it. Like, you see that before the fight happens, you've got 2 or 3 shield batteries coming in at exactly where the fight's going to happen and stuff. So Showtime's just very solid all round, and there's a reason why he's been known as the Wall for such a long time. Speaking of, spawning over in the top left-hand side here, our Red Protoss playing for Team Sentinels, it is Showtime.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have the blue Protoss player. He's going to need energy to try and mount this 3-0 comeback, being down in an 0-2 deficit. It is Cyan.
Chinese fans here giving him their energy, and he needs it. No lifelines left for him. So far, nothing's been working out. I mean, he's been close. You really felt it. Without that stasis trap, that game too could have been very different, but you're against a man that utilizes the full potential of Protoss. All their tricks, all their shenanigans, even the build order choices and stuff, like the fact that he showcased the 2 Adepts and did something totally different with it. Showtime's not easy to go up against.
Yeah, it is very frustrating to go up against, I think, for a lot of people. Ooh. We do see our observer Insano pointing out the minerals building on up. A fast Nexus over here relative to the last 2 games. And that is just going to be still a normal looking build and everything, but it's just, you know, Nexus before Cyber is definitely a bit faster than the normal.
That is very fast.
Yeah.
And on a map without a ramp to your natural, Showtime absolutely, I would imagine, is going to change what he had in mind. And
maybe he doesn't need to.
Well, I mean, like, I guess
this is a proxy robo position, I feel like.
It could be a proxy robo, proxy 3-gate. It could be a lot. It could also be, you know, seeing how early that was really is, yes.
Yeah.
And he is going to go for the proxy robo. But yeah, the fact that he scouts it immediately, doesn't go into the main or anything, he's just like, you know what? Proxy pylon, robo, let's go. This is the kind of game you want to play, eh? Well, I've played against one of the best in the world at this that's done it for years against me. Let's see how you deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, if there was ever a practice partner you could ask for of how to try and punish this, it would be Max Pax. And Showtime has played a lot of games of this exact situation against Max Pax. We got the Adepts coming on out, but follow-up 3rd and 4th Adepts also coming on out here for Showtime. So this is also going to be paired in with those Immortals he'll be making. Now, Cyan has his probe up in the top right-hand corner, looking around for the proxies. Is going to send in the Hallucinate Phoenix Scout and sees, okay, yeah, you clearly are not going for any kind of expansion or anything, but where is the proxy? What am I about to be facing? And he should know pretty soon.
He definitely should. I mean, the fact that he sees that 3rd gate going up in the main as well, and it's an aggressive Warp Prism coming out very early. I was kind of wondering, oh, the 3rd gate is not an aggressively placed, but you can use the Warp Prism to do the job of warping in everything very aggressively and very quickly.
Now, looks like he's going to use that Warp Prism maybe to elevator those Adepts up into the main base, bypass any of the potential walling and stuff, and then also send in 2 of the Adepts over the natural. I like this. It is going to get spotted immediately, and that is, I mean, if Cyan had any doubts about what he's facing off against, that should, you know, really solidify. But I think he already knew at this point. Adepts are going to be trying to find some damage, and ooh, Force Field not quite going to be protecting those probes, and going to find, what, 4... No, not quite.
That was unfortunate. The Adepts were too far apart that the shots weren't synced up properly, but still, the damage is not over. And here, I love the fact that he sent out those shades nice and early here for those Adepts. Does get 1 away, 6 probes for his shovels. And remember, that Immortal count, it's growing behind this. Getting in Stalkers as well with the army. This is going to be very scary. Do we have any Immortals in production at all for Cyan? I think he had a Robo done, but no, just gateways actually at this point.
Yeah, it's just going to be a pure gateway defense, utilizing that superior economy with the 30 workers. Going to try and ambush these units before the second Immortal pops. So the second Immortal popping is going to make it so difficult to engage against this. Maybe if you get some magnificent force fields or something, you can really take advantage of the fact that the Warp Prism can't pick up every single unit all at the exact same time, but Showtime is really good at this Warp Prism micro, Ben. It is going to be a tough ass to defend against this attack.
And that is a lot of shield batteries coming online as well. And that Warp Prism, it's got a big job on its hands to keep these units alive. And the force fields on both sides pretty darn good. Those shield batteries are sort of half drained, but we've got 2 more incoming as well. So far, Cyan's doing a good job of holding this. Nice wall in at the ramp as well. He's not looking to go down without a fight.
Yeah, Showtime's Immortals having trouble pairing up together to focus fire down like a single Stalker through the shield battery healing or anything. So none of these Stalkers for Cyan really falling. And even more shield batteries now finish up for this next round of the engagement. Warp Prism Micro is great here for Showtime. But Cyan, he's continuing to just try and buy more and more time. That first Phoenix going to be coming on out is going to be a big, big game changer for that Warp Prism, having to deal with the Phoenix continuously harassing it, and also just the pickup potential against the Immortals. Can he survive for it, though? One Immortal does get picked up. It gets focus fire down. That is a great pickoff there for Cyan, but he needs to now start pulling the probes to deal with the additional rounds of reinforcements here.
Yeah, and a third Immortal does join the fray, and yet again, and I mean, Cyan is looking kind of battered and bruised at this point. All the shield battery energy is down. The probes are getting absolutely massacred at this point. The Adepts doing a great job against those light armored units. Going to try and pick up that Immortal and get it down before the Phoenix. No! Ooh. He gets to save that Immortal just in time, keeping the high value units alive. Does lose it though. Nice snipe by Cyan, but more units getting marched into the fray here. He's got Stalkers, Immortals alive, another Phoenix, but does he have enough to take it out? I don't think so at this point. Showtime is making it happen. And look at those Stalkers, the last of the army. And I think Showtime, he's done it, he's clenched it. You can see on Cyan's face, it's real what has happened. GG, Showtime, 3-0 Cyan.
Well done, well executed by D-Mauer, our PvP legend, and he is going to keep his hopes and dreams alive in the events, while Cyans are unfortunately going to be put to an end here. Really, really incredible PvP. You know, despite the fact that I know Cyan did end up losing the series and also the 1 versus Hero, I feel like no one can look at those series and say Cyan didn't actually play really, really solid PvP for a lot of these games. He still showed some really amazing potential against, again, world-class players. There is no easy player to defeat here at the Esports World Cup now.
No. I mean, like, the thing is, you look at his bracket and it's like you had Hero in the first round, then you had Showtime in the lower bracket, and it's like,
that is brutal.
Yeah, it's not one of those things that you can say, oh yeah, I expected you to at least like win a series against one of those. Like, no. Even not winning a map it's brutal. It looks brutal on paper, but Cyan actually played better than I thought he was going to coming into this. So well played to the guy. It's just Showtime. He's a beast. He's a beast.
An absolute beast for sure, and we saw that across the series. In game number 1, Showtime really finding, again, like those edges from the early... I mean, this was definitely the game where I feel like he got a pretty big edge from that first early engagement, and you saw him carry that out into a victory. But game number 2, I feel like the smaller, subtler things of just... I believe it was like the Oracle that was actually just so impactful in this game.
This game was actually really close. The blink here onto the stasis, actually, I think... cost Cyan the game.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that Showtime was in a relatively difficult spot.
Yeah.
Like shield battery energy was low, but these fights here, I do love the patience of Showtime, just with Zealots not constantly charging into their doom. He really fought, used the shield batteries behind the army. It was just really nice play out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really well done there in game number 2. And then in game number 3, we did see that kind of finally Showtime just deciding to set the pace of things and just getting aggressive in his own right with that proxy robo, trying to punish the greed there of Cyan, and it ended up working out. But even this game, I think, had a couple of moments where you're like, that is a lot of shield batteries. Wait, could Cyan actually defend this? Especially when the Phoenix started coming out. But man, Ben, Showtime, it's just all the little things he does. You're talking about the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater stat wheel. It's just Showtime is such an all well-rounded player.
And guys, we're going to get to hear from the man himself. It is Showtime and Steadfast.
Welcome, everyone. I'm here with Sentinel Showtime. He just put on a decisive performance versus Cyan. I mean, I'm going to do the thing. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling pretty good. A little bit too excited during the game. I feel like some moments I was feeling a bit shaky, but right now I feel very good, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you may have felt shaky, but you looked so solid. That was D Mauer that we've come to know and love. Game number 1, obviously the early game kind of went in your favor pretty solidly. Were you expecting the Glaive Adept's follow-up? Because you went Glaive Adept yourself, and you got it so much faster, and it really felt like you kind of saw inside his mind. Were you anticipating that?
To be honest, I was planning on all-inning him if he was taking a third base, but then he all-inned into me, so it worked out pretty well because I was making like non-stop units anyway. And yeah, usually if it's Robo versus Robo, it tends to go into some sort of Glaive all-in. So yeah, I kind of expected it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then in game number 2, you started off with Proxy Oracle. It worked out pretty well. It was a little bit of weird aggression that kind of was like definitely uncomfortable. Then that stasis trap lands in the middle of the game. You gotta, is that where things kind of stabilize for you? I'm just gonna hand you the mic for now.
Yeah, honestly, without the stasis I die, I think. Like,
I think you're right.
I don't have the production, I don't have the unit count, I can't really keep up, and the batteries, are not gonna help me anymore. So, yeah, the stasis saved me for sure. The early game was a bit annoying. Like he blocked my base and he saw my 2 adepts, so he decided to just move towards like across the map with like the sentry and the stalker. And honestly, if he had a pylon close by and he warped in there, I'm just straight up dead, I feel like. So I was a bit lucky in the early game, I feel like, but yeah. And with the stasis as well. Like the game was his to win, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He came in very well prepared and he looked quite solid. Now, we were talking a little bit before the interview started. You had some good answers. So I'm just going to ask you again. You were saying you're comfortable with PvP, but kind of talk me through how you feel about your status in the matchups and like what you're preferring. And you don't have to get into too much detail. I don't want you to give anything away, but like maybe why you're feeling comfortable a little bit.
PvP, I feel like the meta is not my favorite, to be honest, but I'm doing well in the matchup. It's just you have to play a bit of everything, mix it up, and it's kind of fun to play like a lot of different builds as well. So I kind of, like, I wouldn't say I'm super comfortable with PvP because that's always like the gamble a little bit. You never know if you get unlucky with builds. But overall, it's a good matchup for me. PvT, I like if it's like standard, but the Terrans here, they know they don't want to play standard. And like yesterday against Kyo, he came in with builds that I don't have any practice against, and it's very hard to prepare for that kind of stuff. And PvC, I think it's like my most solid because there's just not much Zerg can do to throw you off in like the first 5 minutes or so. So I always feel pretty good in PvC.
Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, you haven't played enough NA ladder because you could run into that build 60% of the time, maybe around the 5K, 5.5K MMR thing. Obviously, you'd be too high to even run into it. But I think you'd get enough experience if you popped over to our, let's just call it jungle down there. Now, gotta ask, there's some heavy hitters in the upper bracket. You need one more series to make it through. You can pick any of the 4. Who are you picking? I believe it's Serral, Classic, Hero, and I would guess they would make it so you couldn't run into Kira again, but I'm honestly not sure. We'll throw Kira into the mix just because it's good content. It would be potentially a nice little revenge match for you. Which of the 4 is your pick?
I definitely don't want Serral. Like, we practice and he beats me like 70-80% of the time, so I don't want that. Classic, Hero are both very strong, but in PvP, I feel like there's a good chance I take them down. And Kyo, yeah, no thanks. Not again.
No thanks, not again. I mean, after that Proxy 111, I think a lot of people would be saying no thanks, not again. Now, final question, a little bit of fun. You mentioned Serral. You two had a little segment together with the drawing, and he was saying afterwards, he's like, no, I think I was the better drawer there. I was, he was kind of, making a little bit of trash talk on the drawing. Do you have anything to respond with?
Honestly, my drawing skills are not that bad, but like drawing StarCraft units, I realized I can't even have like a picture in my head of what I want to even put on the board. So I don't know. I think we both are pretty bad, and I think, yeah, I guess one of his, right? So maybe he was a bit better, but I don't know. We'll see. Like it's super hard to do, honestly.
Yeah, no. Once you get up there like anything, you watch it from home and you're like, oh man, yeah, I can hit a golf ball 350 yards. I can compete with the best players, and then you're on the stage your camera's in your face, whatever, and you're like, oh, you know what? This is actually a little more difficult than doing it at home. But I think with that, that's just one more congratulations. I'm going to let you say your shout-outs to whoever you'd like. And yeah, we'll throw it back after that.
Yeah, just thanks to all the fans watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. And thank you to Sentinel for supporting me.
All right, and back to you, Fear Dragon and Ben on the desk.
Thank you so much, Dave, and great to hear from Steadfast there. Understandable that he thought he was, in fact, the better drawer. I actually also agree. He was much better at drawing, but also showing that he is, in fact, the legend at StarCraft that is, in fact, the better player today.
Cyril was so bad at drawing,
so
actually.
bad.
He was so bad.
Okay,
and the fact that he showed that Mutalisk upside down.
Oh my god.
Like, how? A man with such StarCraft 2 brain power, but literal, like, next to zero IQ, being able to show his drawing the right way. That was amazing. And we do get to see what has been happening in the other matches. Zhao did take out Beyond 3-2.
Wow.
That's actually pretty huge.
That is actually very huge. And we actually have over here Group B. We have, it looks like Classic versus Cyril, and Hero versus Cure still going to be happening there. But Rogue versus Hero Marine, 1-0 for Rogue. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people would expect. That's what Artosis would expect. But
well, Artosis would expect already 3-0 into the next round, 3-0 that as well.
Artosis is like, oh, there must have been a mistake. He's on the wrong side of the bracket right now. Why is he in the lower bracket?
Yeah, why is he in the lower bracket? What an upset.
Yeah. But we do actually have a wonderful guest, Ben. It's Dave. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah.
How was the journey?
Oh, I've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, I just never left. Just teleported straight. I just blinked up. It's you know, blinking up to the high ground. It's a classic maneuver. I had the vision from my wonderful co-casters. I was able to get up here, no problem. Yeah, that was a really decisive showing from Showtime there. To speak to the Hero Marine stuff, the Hero Marine Rogue, they actually played a banger series on specifically Persephone. That game was one for the ages. So I know Pig made a video about the changelings with Rogue versus Clem.
Yeah.
I think the man made 200 changelings in that game. He went late game swarm host. He was here, there, and everywhere. It was an absolute sick match. So I really think that that match is definitely going to be one where I think Hero Marine's going to look to, you know, run it back, get some revenge. But I think it's just going to be a great match over there on the A stream. But for now, we've got the MVP of the day. And, well, there wasn't much selection, but I think based on what we saw in the games, Shin, his preparation, the way he dismantled and got in his opponent's head is the clear winner of this one for me. What do you think about that, Ruby?
I mean, I definitely agree. He just showed up very clear. And this is the other interesting thing is, as opposed to the matches yesterday, where players had like a week or something to prepare for their match, Shin basically had one day of yesterday to today, found out who was going to play. I was like, okay, I'm going to craft exactly what's going to happen in this series. And you could see the preparation very, very clearly. I mean, honestly, if you just showed me that series out of context, I'd be like, okay, so you had like a couple of days or something and you planned out every single map? No, just perfectly done for every single map there.
Yeah, yeah. Demu, of the 3 games, which one was your favorite? I don't know what my answer is, but let me know which one your favorite one is between Shin and Trigger.
Between Shin and Trigger? I mean, I did like the fact that Trigger bounced back a little bit in Game 3, you know, and did something a little bit, maybe not what he practiced, but definitely didn't want to be bullied anymore.
Yeah.
But I loved the fact that Shin was all about these ugly zerglings and just being a nuisance, even trying to hatch block in Game 3. I thought Shin played very smart.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think it was... Initially, I would have said Game 1 because the build was so cool and it was such a good setup. But Game 2 felt like, okay, yeah, Game 1 was a build that could have gotten kind of anybody. Game 2 felt like it was specifically tailored to Trigger. Like, all the moves that were made in the early game were just fantastic in terms of going after his opponent. And it was really cool, and he really... Honestly, even if we'd had 6 or 8 series, there's a good chance I give Shin that MVP for the day. But that brings me to my next point, which is the fact that we're actually done here. And this was a very quick day. I think we talked about it. We were thinking maybe this could maybe there could be some upset potential between Shin Trigger. I know I said Cyan. Got a little bit of egg on my face now, although I do think, and Showtime agreed during the interview, I do think that there was potential for Cyan, especially in that game number 2. And that is the kind of thing that defines the series. If that Stasis Ward doesn't land, Cyan wins the game right then and there. We got a reset series. We've got a player that, kind of caught his opponent off guard with the Proxy Oracle, and it got a bit of damage done. He got caught out, though, in the natural. It's a reset on the series with a small advantage for the momentum for Cyan, and it could go Game 5. It could even be a Cyan victory. Obviously, getting way ahead of myself, but it really did come down to that one moment with the Stasis that was like the total backbreaker, and it's like, okay, we know who's going to win this series now. Before we call it, though, final thoughts, Ben? Final thoughts, Ravi? Ben?
Good day. I mean, no upsets again. And on this stream, we've had literally not one series that has been back and forth a little bit. It's just been 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-0. So hopefully tomorrow...
Surely tomorrow.
Things be changing.
Yeah. Ravi?
Man, I feel like I'm upset because my boys Astray and Trigger have been knocked out. But I think we've still been getting, despite the fact that they've been one-sided in terms of the overall scores, I'm happy that we're still getting some fun games and everything, both on this stream and also on the other stream as well.
We're getting to see what makes the good players really good on this stream, and just the little nuances, right,
That's
of
true.
like how they've gone into it. So I think that is my takeaway from this.
Yeah. But I'm actually really grateful for all the games that we have, and we still have one more day that we are going to be covering the games tomorrow, I believe, as well. So I'm looking forward to covering 2 more best of 5s in a very, very long and arduous day for us.
I mean, that is always how the tournaments work. If the early series are really good, the later series tend to not be it. But if the early series are a little more one-sided, the later series get that magic. So hopefully I didn't just jinx it right now. I probably did, but we're going to have to see tomorrow because this is the end of day number 2 here on the B stream. There's still a ton more StarCraft over there on the A stream. I've been Steadfast, Fear Dragon, Demu. That is going to be it for us, and you have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day.
and now I'm falling.